whispers in the mist. The tiny village of Hollow Glen had been shrouded in mystery for as long as anyone could remember. Surrounded by dense, ancient woods, the town seemed trapped in time, its stone cottages and cobblestone paths unchanged for centuries. The village was perpetually cloaked in a thick mist that drifted down from the hills, carrying with it an eerie quiet. No one in the outside world spoke of Hollow Glen except in hushed tones, sharing tales of its haunted reputation and otherworldly happenings. It was late October when a young writer named Eliza Matthews arrived in Hollow Glen. She had heard rumors of the village's haunted past and strange occurrences, and it intrigued her enough to abandon her apartment in the city and move to Hollow Glen in search of inspiration. She rented an old, creaky cottage at the edge of town, which was said to be uninhabited for years. Its wooden beams and weather-worn shingles hinted at the many stories it could tell. Eliza settled in, unpacking her few belongings and arranging her writing desk by the window. From there, she could see the mist rolling in through the trees, swallowing up the forest in a thick white veil. The stillness was unsettling, but it fueled her imagination. She began working on a novel inspired by the village's mysterious reputation. The first few nights passed without incident. Eliza spent her days writing and exploring the town, speaking with the locals about the legends that surrounded Hollow Glen. She learned of the whispers, strange voices heard in the night, carried on the mist, telling secrets of the past and future. Villagers warned her not to stray too far from her home after dark, lest she become lost in the woods and fall victim to the whispers. Eliza was skeptical of the tales, believing them to be the product of overactive imaginations and superstition. However, she couldn't deny the sense of foreboding that settled over her each evening as the mist thickened. It was on the 7th night of her stay that she experienced her first encounter with the whispers. The night was unusually quiet, the only sound being the rustling of leaves in the forest. Eliza sat at her desk, writing by candlelight, when she heard faint voices outside her window. She dismissed them as her imagination at first, but as the voices grew louder, she realized they were real. Intrigued, she stepped outside onto her porch. The mist enveloped her, and the voices swirled around her like a cold breath. They spoke in hushed tones, whispering her name and revealing secrets she had never shared with anyone. Eliza's heart raced as she listened to the ghostly murmurs, unsure whether to be frightened or fascinated. The voices seemed to beckon her toward the forest, promising to reveal truths she had never known. Despite the warnings of the villagers, Eliza followed the voices, drawn to their eerie allure. She walked through the mist-shrouded woods, the voices guiding her deeper into the forest. The air grew colder, and the trees twisted into grotesque shapes, their gnarled branches reaching out like skeletal hands. As Eliza ventured further, she stumbled upon an ancient stone circle hidden within the woods. The stones were covered in moss and lichen, and the ground around them was barren and cold. The whispers grew louder, echoing off the stones, as if the forest itself was alive and speaking to her. The whispers spoke of the village's dark past, revealing a history of betrayal, bloodshed, and forbidden rituals. Eliza was horrified to learn that the stone circle was once a place of sacrifice, where villagers had offered blood to appease the spirits of the forest. The ritual had kept the village safe from harm, but at a terrible cost. As Eliza listened, she realized the whispers were not just telling her the past, but also foretelling her own fate. The voices spoke of her arrival in Hollow Glen as part of a prophecy, one that would bring about the village's salvation or destruction. Eliza's choices would determine the outcome. Terrified, Eliza turned to leave the stone circle, but the whispers grew louder, urging her to stay. She felt a chilling presence behind her and turned to see a shadowy figure emerging from the mist. The figure was tall and gaunt, with hollow eyes that seemed to hold the secrets of the ages. "Stay," the figure whispered, its voice blending with the others. "Fulfill the prophecy, Eliza." Eliza's heart raced as she realized she was no longer alone in the forest. The figure's presence was suffocating, and she knew she had to escape. She turned and ran, the whispers following her as she fled through the woods. She burst out of the forest and into the village, her breath ragged and her mind racing. She rushed back to her cottage, locking the door behind her. The whispers continued outside, but she tried to block them out as she gathered her belongings. She knew she had to leave Hollow Glen before it was too late. As Eliza packed, she couldn't shake the feeling that she was being watched. She glanced out the window and saw the shadowy figure standing at the edge of her yard, its hollow eyes fixed on her. Fear surged through her, but she refused to give in. She grabbed her bag and fled the cottage, running toward her car. The mist thickened around her, and the whispers grew louder. Eliza struggled to find her way through the dense fog, her heart pounding in her chest. Just as she reached her car, she felt a cold hand grasp her shoulder. Eliza turned, expecting to face the shadowy figure, but found herself alone in the mist. The whispers fell silent, and the air grew still. Confused and terrified, she climbed into her car and drove away from Hollow Glen, never looking back. The village vanished into the mist as Eliza sped away, her mind haunted by the whispers and the shadowy figure. She knew she had escaped Hollow Glen, but she would never forget the horrors she had witnessed there. The village's secrets would remain hidden in the mist, waiting for the next lost soul to stumble upon them.